Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to TCG University. I'm Noah here, your lovely host with...
Travis TNT Tangent.
Man, that was a fucking wait. And we also have Jerry here. This is his first time on the podcast. Say hi, Jerry.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
He's been with us for a hot-ass minute. He just doesn't show up on the podcast, but we do a lot of playtesting with him. It helps out a lot. So we're going to get housekeeping out of the way. All the standard stuff. Please make sure to subscribe, comment. Where are we at, Travis? What are all the cool social media things we're on?
Twitch, Twitter, Patreon, Instagram, all that kind of cool shit.
Yeah, Spotify. We have Spotify.
Spotify, sure, yeah. We're on all that.
We're still on Spotify. You can listen to backlog stuff on Spotify.
You can listen to backlog.
It's been a hot ass minute. So we're gonna just open this up. I decided that the topic would be to revisit deck building, deck construction, deck tech, all that fun shit. In terms of consistency, summons versus monsters, power couples, like the cards that just make the deck function. For instance, any party attack deck plus what's his name, Noctis. You know, shit like that. What did I write here? My handwriting. Oh yeah. Is it archetype based? Is it generic where you can just play any mix of elements, and or autos versus actions? What do you think is more preferred currently in the meta? So yeah, it's open to the floor. Who wants to go?
I think at least on the autos versus actions, it's very obviously autos because we saw Amaterasu not only make a resurgence but like triple in price on TCG Player. Which it was like a $3 card. It's now what, like 20 something in there?
Yeah, it got pricey again.
And that's just a sign of the meta shifted to autos being a lot more important than action abilities. There are some action abilities that are pretty cool, and obviously Go-Go is a thing that exists. So honestly, they're kind of on a level playing field, except for the fact that autos are just like a majority of the game's infrastructure in general compared to action abilities, which are not necessarily.
I think autos get you your cool plays, actions cement your board state.
There are a lot more autos in every set than there are action abilities.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting as well that you bring that up because if you look at the meta, a lot of the core of the meta decks that we have currently right now are a lot of the same type of archetypes that we had when Ratsu first came out.
Yeah.
So samurais still around, still being samurais. Even the decks that are just kind of rogue are still becoming more stabilized. The Sky Pirates.
Yeah.
I think Sky Pirates relies on auto to set up, and then it just holds still with its actions.
Yeah.
I think cards like Setzer are fucking nuts and have to be an auto, because if that card was in action, it just wouldn't be fair. You have to be able to like stop the Setzer, and autos are a lot easier to stop in my opinion than actions are.
Rest it, pay a crystal, reveal.
Yeah,
do the thing. If I have Go-Go, I'll do it twice.
Yeah.
That would be so broken.
That would be so dumb. Being able to get two characters out for one crystal, which essentially is just 2 CP on a backup or something, is nuts. Archetypes or generics, which I was also thinking of. It seems like a lot of decks currently are focusing on archetypes, which, I mean, is generally a good thing.
Yeah.
I would think if the game's super generic, then it's like Mono Fire is always going to be generic, but that's just, even then it still falls into the Ifrit package usually. Mm-hmm. Mono Water usually falls around. Vikings for the draw power.
I don't think you see anything mono water right now, but I think you're seeing a lot of water go into your Sky Pirates.
Yep.
And any kind of maybe fire water.
Wind Water got nuts because of Sky Pirates, and it's just going to get better come all the Category 10 cards.
And Earth Water.
YRP
always
coming
is good.
back,
Always
baby.
is good.
Always.
YRP coming back.
Power couples. This one I thought was interesting. So like Bart's Boko or Regis and Nyx. Give the wink to James. Or Barrett and Cloud, because they function together. Like any of that.
And also the one card, just Moshri.
Yeah,
Moshri and
Moshri in and of itself with summons.
Moshri and summons. Name a better combination.
So,
you can.
So this does bring up a point too, I guess, that I slightly want to touch on is summons are always the way you win the game. And people have complained, I've complained, using your break zone as like an extra resource is dumb. King's Glaive does it. Stern did it and got banned. And Stern did it because it was forwards. Mashiri does it and uses summons, and I still think that's nuts, especially with Braska's coming out. Like, okay, I'll pitch the summon to fuel my Mashiri and still 7k something. Solid.
I think that Nyx needs to be a once per turn on the remove to gain first strike and hexproof.
You know what I'm
Because that card is fucking obnoxious.
That plus Regis is really hard to get through. Just those two
Literally,
cards.
So if you're a summon based deck and all of your removal is like one-time summon removal, you just auto lose to Nyx.
No, summons get to Nyx. Summons don't touch Regis.
What?
Summons
No,
always get to Nyx
Nyx has hexproof.
against opponent's abilities.
Okay, sure.
Summons get to Nyx. The issue is if those summons deal damage, Nyx doesn't care. Or a lot of the summons that are currently being played that I see either deal damage or say you select something, so they'll just pick something other than Nyx anyways.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're kind of also want to look at what's obvious right now. We lost Doga, right?
Yup.
Doga was still the premier summon deck. It has or had all the premier summons in it. We got Maya coming out.
Yeah.
Maya alone being able to take in anything earth, water. Maybe you can even go ahead and I don't know, maybe go her.
Yep.
Play two summons for super cheap.
That's not. I'll play two Atomos.
I mean-
Exactly. So the fact that you have the ability to really abuse Mashri even more, if the big ban hammer is going to come down on her, I think it's going to come within a couple sets.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best decks in the format right now is PPR, which for those that don't know, that's Palamporum Rydia. And that's a very inherently summon-based deck because you want to free cast shit off of Rydia, and then you just get inherent value off of Palam and Porum just sitting there and getting you advantage.
I think coming up with this next set, Ama's still going to be nuts, but I think key cards to pay attention to, especially as tech cards, would be Sin and Emperor. The ability to shut down your opponent's actions on their forwards, either on their turn or with Emperor globally, is really good.
Yeah.
Especially decks that will revolt like Sky Pirates. Shutting down the actions on a Sky Pirate deck just kind of makes it sit there after its board's established.
On
So
their turn, is
They can't do
very
anything.
good. Yeah.
I'm going to be controversial here. I don't 100% agree with that, but I do see where you're going because in the matchup, granted, this only speaks for my matchups, but in the matchups I found with Sky Pirates in the past, is that when you have a Sin dropped against you, it doesn't necessarily shut you down, but if you want to use your activates on your turn, it forces that, hey, Sin's coming down, or you know it's coming down, and then it forces it to you to do it on their turn.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the activate abilities on Sky Pirates are just like Balthier, right? You can do Balthier on their turn and then potentially get a 2k boost. So it forces weird interactions, but I don't know that it necessarily shuts it down like it shuts down.
I would say it does for the simple reason of Sky Pirates is very reactive and not proactive. They don't really like to do things on the opponent's turn as much as their turn when you're trying to fuck with their turn. And like for instance, one of the games I played at Bahamut Brawl, I slapped a Sin down, and if I didn't swing with that Sin, they were never going to be able to do anything. They had a Porum and a Pinello on board, and they Porum the Sin because I swung with it like a dumbass and blocked it on my turn. But like besides that, they weren't allowed. I was allowed to block anything they decided to swing with because they couldn't Porum or Pinello to stop me. They couldn't Balthier to stop me. It holds them from pushing aggression. Don't do it again. It holds them from pushing in the aggression, and then you can just take advantage of it.
And I can agree with that. I think that then what might end up happening with Sky Pirates is I think it's going to evolve again.
Yeah, it always does.
I think that having Sky Pirates with that new the Porum in there, the 2-cost Porum, is good. It's so good in the meta right now where most of your power forwards are going to be 4 or 5 or 5 or less.
Yep.
Yeah.
Once we get on to spoilers too, and just in general, a lot of generically good cards are coming out as 3-drops, right? Like the new Cloud, for instance.
Yeah.
And they're like 3-drop 7Ks. So Ama's gonna hit those easily. Ama hits 4-drops usually easily. I think Shinryu just gets better because they're putting in more 3-drop targets.
Mm-hmm. Well,
That
Shinryu always gets better. is
Well,
the thing, because
that's the issue, right?
they
So
would have
Shinryu either has to be errated to some degree, which I don't think that's happening, or has to be banned and just stuck in title. Because if they keep putting out more 3-drops, they have to deal with they either make them uber powerful or they have to deal with Shinryu so they can try and balance it out with the set.
But I think that's what allows them to go ahead and go a little ham with the 3-drops and 3, 6, and 9s because of the fact that they know, hey, we have Shinryu out there to balance it out. So maybe that's their way of saying, okay, we can go ahead and push some of these higher scale, cards, like as we're about to get into
Yeah.
our preview, some of the things
Cloud
that are
of
coming out.
Darkness.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, I would like to see.
Closer to your mic. Nobody can hear you.
They can hear me. I would like to see Shinryu and the 4CP Phoenix banned, simply because of the fact that they limit design space. There's
I
no other reason.
definitely watched the game. It was Palamporum. I think it was like a Palamporum lock deck, like Firewater Lock, just like locking them down. And it was just, hey, I'm gonna play this Phoenix and res one of these two, and I'm gonna gain these counters and just start sniping your shit off board.
Yeah, either that,
Or I'm gonna res this Mashri and then remove the Phoenix plus 2 others.
So that's the thing is like, almost every other card in the game specifies non-light or non-dark. That card doesn't, and it also hits every element compared to it just resing a fire 2-drop like Lena does.
With water.
And so just by that existing, both that and Shinryu, either they mess with design space and what they're allowed to do / what they feel like they can do, just by existing, and I hate that. So I think they should just both be banned so they don't have to think, oh, well, if we print this really broken 2-drop, then it's just going to get rezzed over and over again off of Phoenix, and nobody will ever be able to deal with it unless they remove it from the game.
Yeah, like Rydia Phoenix is kind of funny.
I think the fact that we're not seeing that potential go to the banhammer for those is because there's a lot of ways to instantly deal with Phoenix, like the cancel, like Lails, right? And things of that nature, but we're not seeing an impressive environment where they're being used right now. I think that with them being as good as they are, I'd like to go ahead and see those become oppressive.
I think the only deck that can feasibly play the Phoenix right now is Palamporum Rydia, and that's the only reason why it's not oppressive. But Palamporum Rydia is still one of the best decks in the game right now, and yeah.
Now, I'm going to throw it out there. Do you think that new Maya is going to help the Palamporum Rydia decks? Or do you think it's just going to be extra?
I think it's extra, personally.
I think it's extra.
Because you already have Rydia literally free casting any card in your hand with the right counter number, which you get 6 when you have 3 of them on board.
Yeah.
I think the Maya's a good fallback, but I don't think that card is really going to see any play, and if it does, I would personally put it at a 1 of.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's necessary for the game plan of the deck as much as like 3 Rydias would be.
Then let me position this for you. Do you think that it would, if you were to cut Rydia altogether and just say no earth, just go straight water and fire, do you think then Maya could replace the Rydia for all intents and purposes?
If you're going to just play water fire, sure.
Yeah.
But I think you're trading a huge amount of power for a small amount of consistency.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's so like the thing is it's not even that much consistency because the backup line and the mana fixing is already hyper consistent in water anyways because you have Sarah to search Princess Sarah and you have Tyro which taps for any color like so like
lose the best summon in the game right now.
you lose
Okay,
access to some of the best summons in the game and the
The
best
amount of
board
I think the
wipes.
amount of recursion in this game is nuts right now. Miss Dragon definitely does sit at the top as one of the best summons.
Yep. It also cancels Ama, which
Yup.
is important.
Cancels a lot of things. What is it, 5 or less?
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 or less.
Cancels literally all the important summons currently in the game.
Yep.
Okay.
On to spoilers. Any specific cards you guys want to mention?
YRP coming back. Let's go, Riku.
Zidane, Riku, Mind Flare, funniest deck in the fucking world. It might be consistently good, but on paper that deck looks solid as hell because it's the slow mill, but it's also stealing your opponent's resources that they can use, and they're not allowed to have them. I think the new 2-drop Zidane is nuts if your opponent doesn't have an immediate answer for it on turn 1, and you just go play 2 things, play Zidane because he sees himself.
The only issue is there are already so many good Zidanes that you can play, so people are going to have trouble figuring out like which Zidane is going to be the good one.
This one, personally, I'd say this one. I say this one only for the simple fact that you're it's not even the mill as much as you can potentially take your opponent's best cards or some of the cards to get them there before they can even get the setup.
Well,
You
see,
disrupt their setup.
The thing is, you probably don't play this in Sky Pirates. You definitely don't play it in Wind Water Party Attack because the Water Zidane's just better in that deck.
Yeah, no, this goes to a specific deck. I think you play this with Wind Water 10. If you're playing Riku,
YRP?
yeah, essentially.
If you play YRP, yes.
I honestly
definitely.
think that the other one, the 3 CPs of Dane would be the better choice because the information gathering and as well being able to go ahead and snipe that golden card out of there.
I think so. I think YRP is going to be the only deck that plays both of them. Specifically
if
because
anything.
of the fact
Yeah.
that the new Riku stacks something, so having the ability to
Stacks and draws you a card with a summoner out.
So having the ability to stack their thing that you want to remove and then take it off the top of their deck and use it for yourself
Because you attacked or played a Zidane.
is
Yeah.
nice.
I can see that. That'd be fun. A lot of fun.
It's the same as like mind flare.
No,
Mind
or-
flaring someone's
yeah,
Leviathan.
And then you have access to Mind Flayer too, which is also good with Riku.
Yeah, so you essentially have 6 copies of Mind Flayer in your deck.
And if
Yeah.
you're playing which I think after the new set comes out, YRP is going to become Wind, Water, Fire instead of just Wind, Water. So you can
So you can play Lonnie in
yeah,
Braska.
Lonnie and the Braska backup are really good.
I think Chilinka with the Zidane's also nuts. This dude being able to have Brave and attack twice to steal 2 cards is insane.
It is pretty good, yeah. It is a
I
lot
think
of card advantage.
I honestly, it comes down to the deck types you play, but Jerry, your turn for your card.
Man, I've got a couple cards. I won't spend a whole lot of time on them, but I think that the most underrated card right now that's not getting a whole lot of time, or maybe it is Charlotta.
Oh, the Crystal Charlotta?
Yeah,
Solid.
because I think that the crystal mechanic, unless they abandon it within the next couple sets, this card's going to be one that it's going to go ahead and find, even in a non-win deck, you're just going to have it in there because of that discard effect and being able to gain that crystal point without having to worry about an ETB effect, because you can Ratsu all the ETB effects to stop him from gaining the crystal points.
Yep.
You can't Ratsu the activate ability
Yeah,
of
you
discarding.
Can't.
I think that card's going to be obnoxious
Yeah.
just as a splash in Ice Lightning Go-Go. with
Man,
Lady
I'm
Lilith.
1 crystal off. Boop. I'm
Well,
not now.
It's not even that.
Yeah.
So you can. It says Go-Go says when you use an action ability on a forward. So discarding the Charlotta is using an action ability on a forward.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll copy it. So you'll get 2 crystals, and then you wait until their turn, and then you use Lady Lilith and pop 2 forwards.
That's fair.
Absolutely mind-boggling, and I love it too.
Uh,
The other 2 that I'm looking at, we've been talking about already. Yuri, that new 5-cost Yuri.
It's-
Bonkers. It's
I
going
just
to go
wanna
in
state,
Sky Pirates immediately.
It's
I already-
literally Shadow, which used to be a legend and is now a rare.
Yeah.
They dropped it by 2.
Yeah.
What the and it does more.
Wait, which Yuri?
the new 5-cost one. It's going to hit a lot of good targets in Sky Pirates, and the fact that it reveals
Yep.
a 3-cost, win character of 3 costs, being able to hit a Typhon, just
Dude,
dropping a
I'm-
Typhon on your opponent and being able to go ahead and tuck that big forward and having 2, it's just outrageous.
I'm
And-
sitting over here thinking Seymour Fusoya is just going to get funnier again because there's a lot of good 7Ks flying around.
Yeah.
This card is also good with.
Yes, you can. Come on, you got
Everything.
this.
I'm thinking.
You got
It's
this.
good with every win character that costs 3 or less, honestly.
You
but-
free play this? No.
But you brought up YRP.
Yeah.
Perfect card.
Yeah.
Oh, let me play Pain.
Yeah.
Let me just free
Yeah.
play a Pain.
Yeah,
Why
that-
not?
that is
Sure.
True. That is true. That's kind of good.
And my last card that I'm just loving it. We
The
were just
Maya?
talking, the Maya, because we were talking about Moshri again, and this is just going to be that extra card, that extra sauce on it, being able to cast that summon, and then have it reduced by 3 on top of having the Moshri making it cost 1 less, and then on top of the fact that you have Yuna backup costing 1 less. So having something cost 5 less, unreal.
All right, let's talk about something that grinds my gears.
Hold on. I wanna. You wanna know what really grinds my gears, brother? Fina. There you go, Travis.
People calling things hand traps.
Fina's
when
a
they're
hand
not
trap.
Actually, hand traps.
Here comes James. You know what? Here. I'll let you step in for a hot minute.
Come on.
So Travis, you can be over here, Noah. I actually thought about this real hard because like I understand what you're saying. But I figured out the solution. What do you call it when you turn a card sideways to produce mana?
Tapping.
Mana
That's a magic turn.
Sure.
Yeah. But we say that for other card games.
Yeah.
This including Final Fantasy
Yeah.
and even when we play Universes, which has its own word called committing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
You're tapping, committing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not making money off of it, so I'm
It's
gonna
the
call it
same
tapping.
concept as saying this is a hand trap.
But it's not though.
It is. It's the same concept because Magic used tap. Even if the words commit, anything else, use tap as the word because that's the colloquialism that people use
Sure.
to signify this.
Yeah.
The colloquialism for this is hand trap because
not.
Yu-Gi-Oh has more of these abilities than any other card game.
Yes, but other card games don't have those abilities, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So the reason why things like tap translate so easily is because it's something that you do across other card games.
No, not every
So-
card game.
Yes.
Final Fantasy,
Yeah, but no one in Yu-Gi-Oh calls anything tap because it's not a mechanic
you don't
that
tap.
exists
You
in the
don't
game.
tap things to do stuff. Yeah, Pokemon doesn't do
But
the
I
same
think
thing.
it's a good point to bring up the definition, would you?
So Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki states hand trap is an unofficial term used to describe monster effects that are activated from the hand in response to an opponent's actions. They are not actual trap cards in any way, but function similarly as previously unseen card effects used to surprise or disrupt the opponent. In fact, depending on their effects, they can be even more ubiquitous than actual trap cards.
Nah,
As
just keep
cards in
going.
the hand tend to be less vulnerable.
All I'm saying is the same way we use tap to describe how we do things is the same reason I say you can say hand trap for this because it does the same thing.
So I say the reason why it's not a hand trap is because the reason why they're called hand traps in Yu-Gi-Oh! In the first place are because that's not where you do your interaction from normally, so you have to have a term for those cards. Because on Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, it's called a monster effect. It's part of the
So
game.
I'm gonna have to say
it's
I-
literally
I-
in the
I-
rule book.
I agree with Travis on this one because the fact that his definition he just brought up was about basically making sure that the idea of hand trap is that you're interacting with the hand. You have to have that creature forward already out.
This one, no. This one says discard from your hand.
Is it?
Yeah.
So
It's removed from hand to do cool
so
ability.
Jerry, the reason why I say
I take it back. Yeah.
the
No, it's
reason
totally.
why the reason
Like, it's
why
just a
I-
colloquialism. It's
The reason why I say it's not a hand trap is because the only reason it's called a hand trap in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is because they don't interact from the hand at all. That's not where you interact in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay.
Your
cares?
interaction is 99.9% from the
and
board.
in other card games, you don't tap things, you commit, you do X thing.
Would you, if you consider this a hand trap, would you call summons hand traps?
No. Summon is a card type
Then
that
no.
does that ability.
Then it's not a hand trap.
This is a hand trap. This is not a card that would normally have that ability.
We're also
Forwards don't have the
talking about
ability of-
unofficial terms as well.
Yes. Again,
Unofficial.
the word colloquialism.
Yeah.
It is a term used to describe other actions
True.
based on other actions.
Yes, but this isn't a hand trap because the normal interaction in Final Fantasy is from the hand.
You want to know how I know you're wrong? Because the entire idea of a colloquialism is a group uses it to describe something that is going on based on something else that exists similarly to that action. And everyone's starting to call this a hand trap. That's it. For me, it's done.
I've literally seen like 2 people call it a hand trap.
I look at this and I call it a hand trap.
Okay.
So I don't care.
I think it's.
I'm the
people.
majority.
I would call it more interaction from the hand. Like it's kind of like the Charlotta, right? You can discard it from the hand.
I would call summons hand traps because they,
But like summons, that's their purpose.
have the same.
But that's summons purpose. A forward, you're not going to do that, right?
Well, a summons purpose isn't just that.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's
a
the same.
su-
The forward's purpose isn't just that. So that's the
but a
case when
forward's
it's called
purpose from your hand is cast on your turn
Okay.
outside of
back attack,
back attack, which is a specific ability that lets you do that.
and a summons purpose is
Is to play on either player's turn because that's what it does.
Wait, so then do you consider cards with back attack hand traps then?
Technically, in my opinion, yeah.
They're just flash.
No.
But they
I-
have the card text that says
fucking-
do that.
Oh, no, hey, fair.
Absolutely not.
And that has been-
Absolutely not.
difference is you don't discard.
And that has been the segment of Travis versus James.
Nice,
I
Don't
want.
call it a hand trap. nerds. It's not.
I want to point out, not Noctis. Noctis is my own like flavorful thing. Terra, and I want to point out Scarlett and Laswell. Those two I want to point out. So I'm gonna start with Laswell, right? Laswell is a 2 CP forward ice 5K that says when Laswell or Job Knight enters your field, choose a character, dull freeze it. Dumb. At the end of each of your turns, if a Job Knight you controlled attack this turn, your opponent discards a card from their hand. Also funny because you can't interact with that shit because it's an end of turn effect. Meaning now you can do fire, water, ice, or water, lightning, ice, and just splash in Laswell like Charlotte because those are knights. Nuts that Charlotte's a knight, and you get extra benefits from it. Scarlett, I think, is nuts because she states that when you put a development counter on her, you get to choose one of the 3 following effects based on the number of development counters, which is dull 2 characters, freeze a character, or your opponent discards 1. And on the next turn, if they don't deal with her, you're allowed to make your opponent discard 2 cards, dull 4 dudes, and or freeze 2 things. Like,
Hey, more examples of 2-drops that are really insane.
2-drops are getting nuts. You know what's gonna be showing up a lot if these 2-drops go insane.
Yeah.
Shadow Lord.
Yep. Well, yeah.
And then
Phoenix.
Terra, which I think this card's fucking nuts.
Terra with Go-Go. Oh
This
my
Terra,
God.
this Terra says that the category 6 backups you control can produce CP of any element. Unfortunately, she starts as Earth, kind of gross.
That's fine.
But they make any element,
It
which
don't
is sick.
matter.
Pay a fire until the end of turn. She gains 2k power and haste. Pay an ice, choose a character, freeze it. Pay a water, choose a character, dull it. And or pay a fire, ice, water, dull her, choose 4 and break it. Meaning Go-Go says pay 3, break 2 dudes.
Yep.
I think Go-Go's gonna be an issue if they keep putting action abilities like this that are just free for people to use. Because if you put her out with an interceptor, like, nice.
See, here's the thing about it being Earth is this card could literally be any element and it wouldn't matter because you have a consistent backup line for 6 that not only nets you cards, but now taps for any CP, so it doesn't matter anyway.
You have to play the Earth to get her on board is the issue.
That's
Six doesn't have a lot of Earth inside of it.
The fact, though, that she mana locks your 6 backups, though, on herself. Like, she's a 1-card combo. And the fact that she gives you the ability to go ahead and tap for 3 different colors, or, you tap for 3 different colors, break a dude. But then she mana locks for her own abilities.
Also, there are so many generic Earth cards that you can play.
Oh,
in
I'm not
6.
saying there aren't. It's just you're at that point because you want to splash 3. You're technically forced to splash quote unquote 4, depending. You can cut the water out technically.
Yeah,
You don't need the water.
Just play 6. You play 6 tribal.
You just play
Or-
Fire Ice 6 and you put this Terra in
or-
with some Earth.
You can play water anyways because you get to play.
Mog and Realm.
No, you get to play Sarah and Princess Sarah.
Yeah,
To fix even further.
that's fair.
So like you just have infinite color fixing, so there's literally no downside to Terra.
New Noctis also I thought was super juicy. I said I would skip it, but I really like this card. The cost, he's a fucking 5 CP 9k. The cost required to cast Noctis is reduced by 1 for each category 10 character you control. Backups, forwards, monsters, whatever. 15. When a category 15 character other than Noctis enters your field, choose a forward the opponent controls, dull it. When a category 15 other than Noctis you control is put from field to break zone, choose a forward the opponent controls, dull it. Which, in layman's terms, means if I'm playing Kingsglaive, your shit's tapped for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I can see that. And you go, if you want to, you can go easily lightning and ice with, like, obviously Go-Go for your cool activates with Gilgamesh, right? And then you have... I know it's
doesn't
an unpopular
even matter
card.
the type of category 15
Yeah.
character that's played.
I know it's an unpopular card, but the snow backup.
You could play
a
snow.
triple dole would not be terrible.
True.
You could play Alcid in the deck.
Yeah.
That way you can freeze
Stop
things.
all the ETBs, whichever we were just
Yeah.
having a conversation about is kind of rampant.
I think this card's nuts. Travis, anything you...
I think honestly the best card in the set is this Fire Squall.
The Fire Squall?
I think
Really?
this Fire Squall.
For
is insane.
CP 8k, if either player has 2 or less cards in hand, Squall gains haste. If both you and your opponent have no cards in hand, Squall gains First Strike Brave, and he can attack twice in the same turn. When Squall attacks, deal 4k damage to all the forwards the opponent controls. When Squall is blocked, deal 4k damage to all the forwards the opponent controls, meaning whatever forward is going to attempt to block Squall, bitch better be higher than an 8k.
Yep. So this card with Selphaeus, already established archetype, absolutely insane. This card with the Ice Lightning, or no, Ice Fire Laswell. Insane.
Nuts. I'll make you ditch a card. I'll swing with this Laswell 3K. I'll swing with this lock 7K.
Yeah. Swing with Squall 3K and then
Squall.
4K. So 7K something and 4K the rest of your board. And then if you block, I'll 4K it again.
They did give us 2 Fire Squalls.
You're forgetting about my favorite deck right now. Samurais, baby.
Yeah.
Samurais can abuse this.
Just a Cyan out there with that and an Aroa.
Yeah.
Oh, 10K your board.
Yep. The only thing is, this card is just better in Ice because you're discarding your opponent's hand.
For sure.
So a lot of the time you can pretty reliably control.
You get more value in Ice, but you could play this under Mono Fire with like Ifrit
definitely.
and just 5K their board.
Yeah.
Because you find yourself regularly just pitching
Yes.
down to 2 cards.
Yeah, it's good in the fire decks, in the mono fire decks, but it's definitely better in Ice just because you have this, and you also have access to the 1 CP Lightning, the Ice one, that says if both players have 0 cards, you hit them for a damage. So you are pretty easily able to control the amount of cards that both players have in their hand, especially with a card like the 2 CP Untitled existing that's coming out in this set.
Yeah.
That just says tap, discard a card, your opponent discards a card too.
I forgot this card existed for a hot minute. I just want to state Andre is nuts. He's an owner dancer, meaning we got another dancer. You're allowed to play Kyrie, which is sick as shit for the info. You're also able to play Madam M in dancers, meaning you can Kyrie to look at their hand and then stack things. Madam M will give you any of your win cards, and then you just play Andre, or you can play Aerith as well as a backup, and you have your 7 backups there, and you're allowed to go, I'll duel these dudes, and I'll blank all your dudes, and then I'll duel these dancers, and AK your board. Respond?
So,
You can't?
What I want to do is we need to talk about the best card from the previews and the memeiest card from the previews.
This is the memeiest card, or one of the memeiest cards.
So I'll start. I think the best card, as I said, is the 4 CP Fire Squall. I think the memeiest card is the 1 CP Leo.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I did scroll past that. I was like,
that card is the biggest meme. Let's read it out for them so they know. what
1 CP Leo. Oh, God, he has so much text.
I got
Okay.
this.
If you control characters of cost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, you must control those to cast Leo. 1 CP 7K. You cannot play Leo due to summons or abilities. Oh, narts. When Leo enters the field, look up to 5 cards of your deck. Cast 1 card among them without paying cost. Return the others to the bottom of your deck in any order. So fucking stupid. You essentially have to have a fully set up board to even play this card.
Yeah.
And then it just wins more.
Yep.
That's all it does. And I think it's really funny.
It is. I think someone's going to find. I think that's the one card that someone's going to find a way to abuse the shit out of it, and it's going to be obnoxious as hell. Like, someone's going to find a way to have that card active on, like, turn 4, and then it's doomed. Like, yeah, man.
I do want to point out, shout-outs for James for Onion Knights. The new 4 CP Onion Knight that comes out as a 4-drop AK that says when he enters the field, discard 2, then draw 2 cards, which you can discard any of the, I want to say at least the fire Black Waltz and get cool effects off that. And he's a Sage, so you can swap into him using the Ninja Onion Knight.
So what's your best card? What's your memeiest card for the set?
So personally, you're saying best and not favorite, which I don't like. I think.
What do you think the best card in the set is?
So far that we've seen.
Yeah.
God, is this including their in their own archetypes or just by itself?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I think
whatever-
Marsh in its own archetype is probably one of the best because it says draw 2 every time it swings.
Yeah.
I think memeiest is the Black Waltz line.
Yeah.
And I think specifically Black Waltz 3, just because when he's discarded, you can deal 4K to something. He's the most efficient, in my opinion. You can choose 2 black mages other than him in your break zone, add him to hand when he goes to break zone, and then you can pay nothing and discard 1 and choose a forward of 3 or less and just break it. I think that's nuts. To just discard a card to break a 3 or less forward is really good.
Yeah.
Especially if you discard another copy of him and you 4K shoot something.
Yeah.
Like, memes.
All right.
Jerry?
What's your best? What's your memeiest? Give me both.
You know, that's a tough one. I know what the best one in my mind is, but I'm looking for the memeiest one, and I can't.
Oh, you know what? I lied. Memeiest one is, where is he? Luso.
I,
I think Memeiest one is the Black Waltz line. Yeah. Because it says draw 2 every time it swings.
Yeah.
I think Memeiest one is, where is he? Luso. Luso.
So I think the memeiest card right away to me is obviously the one cost that we were just talking about.
Maya
The
the dancer.
Oh
Yeah, the dancer is memey as shit.
Leo, right? Yeah, like you.
Oh, Leo. Yeah.
Leo is just. If somebody pulls off a Leo deck, it's gonna be great for a hot minute, and then it's gonna be like, oh, okay, we just have to do this. But it's fun.
Yeah.
I think they needed to come out. Well, not even needed. It was cool that they came out with something. I'm so glad they didn't waste a legend spot. Hands down though,
Another fucking Arden, I would be so mad.
God, I need to like rearrange my choices.
that would
now.
be the memeiest card. But in term, and I'm gonna be the person who's gonna probably have the controversial one. I think Maya's probably gonna be the best card of the set so far, because of the compounding archetype that Mashri just absolutely creates in any color. The fact that you're adding that Maya in there is going to go ahead and cause a lot, because it just, she's not hard to go ahead and use. It's so easy to use her.
I lied.
If I had to
Setzel.
if I had to pick a runner-up for best card in the set,
Setzel.
it's definitely Setzel.
Because Setzel says you can play a character, a 4 less from your hand when you play him, and if it's a category 4, you get to restand 2 backups, and then this is just every time. So they need to have Ratsus ready for this, and like you're gonna play cards that tell it no anyways because of the Setzel. When one or more characters you control are chosen by your opponent summons their abilities, if your opponent doesn't pay 2, cancel the effect.
Yep. Actually bonkers. This card is insane. Being able to the fact that it says characters and not just forwards is
I'll play
so
this backup and
obnoxious.
restand 2.
Yeah. Like I'll play this category 4 backup, restand 2. Fuck. God, it's so obnoxious.
And like the funny thing is, it doesn't require him to be cast. It's just when he enters, right? So you can play the current 3 CP Cecil and damage 3, break him, and play this. Like, oh whoops, he's a better version of the starter deck 5 CP Cecil that we already have.
Yeah. Infinitely better. Oh my god.
Power creep.
There's a character I feel like we're not addressing that I kind of, if it came out early in the previews, that I've been absolutely just
Is it
gushing
Luso?
over. It is Luso.
Luso's nuts.
I love
Luso, I thought
I'm
was a meme.
Samurai's player at heart, so to see Luso, I was like, oh, just give me more outlets just to.
Yeah, just more ways to play dudes.
It's absolute bonkers.
Beginning, I mean, he's the 5 draw, 6 CP 5K, but like whatever. At the beginning of the attack phase, during each of your turns, if you've received 5 points of damage or less, shuffle your deck, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a fire character, play it onto the field. Damage 6 at the beginning of the attack phase, during each of your turns, you can search for a fire character and play it.
So if you have.
So you either get to randomly get one, right, or search one out at damage 6 because the top effect goes away after.
How good would it feel to go into combat? Like, oh, you have her out for a turn. She stays out. You go into combat, and then you go flip an Alua, and then just have a couple backups open, and just like, oh, cool, thanks.
Be like, instead of paying 6 for this Tenzin, I'll pay 6 for Leo. Go to combat. Whoa, is that a Tenzin? Boop.
Well, it can hit anything. That's right.
Yeah.
As long as it's off the top. Or no, it can just grab anything during
At damage 6.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you lose 1 trigger at damage. You lose the top trigger once you hit damage 6, which is
it's
fine.
because
Because could you imagine if they
it's
let you
replaced-
keep
it's replaced
both?
by a better trigger.
Yeah,
So,
you get to search instead.
yeah.
At damage 6, do you get both?
No, you only get, because the other one only counts when you receive 5 or less points of damage.
Yeah.
So damage 6, it takes over, and that bottom effect is the only one.
Oh, yeah, that's why they had the.
His
verbiage.
downside is
Okay,
that you
yeah.
can Brynhilder him. So be a smarty and Brynhilder this card.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I think this is the card that I want to say is a check and wreck card. So like, you play it on turn 1, just jam it, and be like, okay, have the answer. If you don't, you probably lose.
Yeah.
Because if I'm playing Mono Fire and I'm not playing summons, which you definitely can play Mono Fire without summons. They have a lot of forwards that are good answers
I
to
think
everything.
the issue I have is that he's a 5K, so he's
Yeah,
a
no.
lot easier to deal with.
Well, if you think about it, the only 2 things that actually see play that answer the Luso on turn 1 are exactly Amma and Brynhilder. So you tell them, or I guess
Alexander.
technically
Yeah.
Atomos and Alexander, but if they discard 3 cards before they've even done anything, sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I discarded 3 and pitched my 1 to play 1. You can have a 5-card hand next turn. That's all you get to work with on turn 1.
It'll be
So-
interesting because
Actually, a 4-card hand. Yeah.
I think you're gonna see. I guarantee you'll see the Lusos in those Samurais decks. It's if you don't pull Tenzin first turn, you drop the Luso, go to combat, flip the Tenzin, end your turn.
Yep.
Get another flip.
Jesus,
Flip 5 cards.
My God, if you ever do that to your opponent, they just scoop. That's just
Game
too
over.
much.
So yeah,
Oh man.
Is that it?
I think so. Those are the only ones I really want to talk about. Sets coming out, pre-release this coming weekend for us. I don't know when this video goes up, and then set will be out, and we'll talk about the set and everything, and do box openings. Right, James? He's tired, but he says yes.
Think so.
Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on all the cool social medias and everything else that we're on. Other than that, have a great day.
Stay learned.
Peace.
You're not James.